Hey, what's up everybody? This is VisitJoan, and today I'm building the House of Fallen Trees. And it's a house from The Sims 2 that has really a lot of mysterious lore to it. I don't really want to get into that because I have so many other things going on that I'm working on. I just don't want to add something that's just going to distract me from all of it. And a quick disclaimer here is that the house itself is the same one from The Sims 2. I copied it and I rebuilt it, but the yard around it isn't. And like I said, I wasn't going to put the original family in there. I might make some of them as extras, because that would kind of be funny to see faces you recognize and just in the background, but I don't know. But anyway, I just really wanted to build this house because it was a fancy house, and it looked like a lot of fun to do, and I was having fun building all these houses. And, nobody's done this house really in The Sims 4 before, and so I kind of want to take advantage of that fact and put it up. But at the same time, I'm like, who the heck am I going to put in this house? And I'm just like racking my brain, like what am I going to do when this thing is built? Because I wanted to put a family in the house, And I'm thinking, what about Lauren's sister Hazel and her family? She has 3 kids. They need somewhere to live. But, then I started realizing that they don't really have all that much money. They probably aren't really, rich enough to live in this kind of fancy house. But then I started thinking, what if this house came from a family member? So what happened is that, Hazel's father-in-law, he just inherited this property from a long-lost relative. It's kind of like on the outskirts of, like, the affluent area of Strangetown. And, he doesn't live in Strangetown. He kind of lives somewhere, I don't know where he lives. But he lives somewhere else, and he had no use for this house. But he's thinking, my son has a family, and they're not exactly 100% happy with where they are. So I'm going to let them live in this house, because it's a beautiful house. It should stay in the family. And, they weren't living in, like, the best part of Strangetown, especially the school that, the kids were going to. The school was just horrible. And, I don't know where it is in other parts of the world, but where I live, the schools are funded by property taxes. So when you have people that make more money, they pay more in taxes, and the schools are better funded in the more affluent areas. And the people that make less money pay fewer money in taxes, and the schools are not funded there. So the school that Hazel was sending her kids to was just downright terrible. And, she kind of wanted to, I don't want to send my kids to this school, but there really wasn't another school they could go to. So she kind of wanted to homeschool, at least through elementary school, but they didn't have the money for her to stay home and do that. So, they have to send these kids to their school. But with this new house that they got and that they live in, they now can send their kids to the same school that Amanda and Anne go to. And I just randomly, low-key decided one day that all the schools in Strangetown were going to be named after scientists and inventors and stuff like that. So the school that Amanda and Anne go to, that is Tesla. And it's kind of funny because there's also a Tesla Drive in Strangetown, and that school is probably somewhere on that street. That might be why they gave it the name, but that is the best school in Strangetown. That is the elementary school for the entire affluent area, or most of it anyway. It's the most funded. It's really got the best education going on for it, and Hazel and her husband are actually, just a lot happier with the kids going to that school. And it's not like they don't know people that go to that school now. They do know a couple people at the school. They're probably not in the same grade level as them, but, at least they know somebody. And now that that story's out of the way, I can start talking about the actual house. And dear God, this house was a cool house to make. But I just ran into so many problems, and you can tell by the amount of stuff that I did cut out of this video. Oh my goodness. And most of them, of course, stemmed from the room system in The Sims 4 once again. Oh my goodness. They really need to fix that, but I've said that before. I had problems where I'm looking at this floor plan, I'm like, okay, this wall just isn't, the wall between the living room and the dining room, this isn't right. And then I would, redo it, and you can see in the video I'm having problems with that right now, but I'd redo it, and then it would no longer consider everything a room, and so the ceiling would be gone, and the floor on the top level would be gone, and I had to redo it by hand. And you can see here I have to actually fill in some of the deck and some of the landing area on the 3rd floor. There we go. I was blanking out for a little bit. But there was this little landing area, and I had to fill it in, because whenever I would just delete the floor, it didn't matter that I put a room where I wanted the empty floor to go. It just wouldn't listen to me because it was already so messed up for me trying to fix my mistakes and stuff like that. But, anyway, I had a lot of problems along those lines, but I think this house turned out, really good. And, I actually sat on this build for a really long time because, well, just the idea of doing it just did not make me feel good. And, it's a long story, but I finally decided to, I might as well do it. I had planned on doing it, but I just kept putting it off. And, I don't really do that on purpose. I mean, I do pre-record, but I do basically have a plan of what's going to go up when. But, well, thanks to Realm of Magic, that plan is... Anyway. But I figured, as long as I got some bad days coming, I can use those productively and do this. And turns out one of those OCD days turns out to be an upload day, so... Well, I need to put something up, so it's going to be this. You guys are watching this. But given the size of this build and the scope of it, and how much trouble I did have with the actual structure of the house, I am surprised that I actually got this done in 2 days. I mean, it's been months since I've done this. I did this back in May, and I'm recording this in August, and I was just, looking at the date stamps on the video, and I'm like, 2 days? That's it? That's really all it took? But I guess now I remember that it did actually take, 2 days. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that was pretty much all I did those days. I don't really remember, but, I pretty much worked my butt off to get this video all edited today, and I think, I got it done. Whatchamacallit. It worked out pretty well, actually. Okay, let's see. What am I going to talk about for the next 10 minutes of this video? See, the problem is I got stuff that I want to mention at certain points during the video, and I don't want to, put in music and then come back because, I don't know, I just think that sounds dumb. No offense if you actually do that in your videos, to each their own, but, as you can see now, I am putting in the pool. I decided it would be a good idea to put a pool in the, backyard, because I think the original house had, a big fountain, but I just didn't want to deal with a fountain. I'm like, you know what, we're in the desert. They would totally have a pool. So I'm putting in the jumping thing, and I'm laying down the bricks. Well, not bricks, but and of course there's the fence so that little toddler doesn't wander off and fall into the pool because nobody wants that. And anyway, here you can tell that I did this video before the release of Island Living, because you can see I'm using those makeshift deck chairs that we no longer need to use because Island Living came out, and now we have the actual lounge chairs, which really, it's why did it even take so long for us to even get those in this game? Because it was in the base game of The Sims 2. I was redoing Community Lodge from Pleasant View, and there are the lounge chairs. Come on, guys. But, anyway, oh boy, what was I gonna say? You see, I had something in my head, and now it's just gone. You see, if in The Sims 3, absent-minded would definitely won't be one of my traits, because that kind of stuff happens all the time. I walk in rooms and forget where I'm going, and, yeah, one of the things was when they listed what the trait meant, it was some people just turn off the TV even though people are still in the room watching it. And I told my mom that my dad was listening, and he's like, "Yeah, you do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I do." That's not a problem anymore, but speaking of builds that I did before Island Living was released, this is probably one of the last builds that I have basically on whatchamacallit. I don't even know, but it's probably going to be one of the last builds on my channel that was done before the update changed the whatchamacallit, the icons. And because when I first got my computer, I made a lot of videos intentionally knowing that it would be maybe months before they got released, because I was waiting for certain other things to be released so I could time those releases exactly the same way. And I was I know I have at least one more in the back that's getting ready to go, but once again, I am waiting for another release, which I really haven't. It's going to be a while before that's out, but, but you will be seeing pre-update videos. Well, at least one more. As for big builds, I don't know, this might be the last one I do, because big builds, oh my goodness, they're just such a hassle, because you have to edit a lot. And I worked my butt off trying to get this all done today, like I said earlier. At least I think I said that earlier. But, I just decided that I'm just going to do the rest of the big builds off camera and do a house tour. And So this is probably going to be like the last big build you see on this channel. Well, actually, that might not sit well with me, so it might be the penultimate build. See, you look at me using very fancy words. Oh my goodness. But anyway, in case you don't know what that word means, it means second to last. So, there might be one more, but I don't really know. Anyway, here I am doing the dining room. And when it comes to the furniture, I definitely diverted from the original. Because, well, the original wasn't all that furnished. There was only a tiny bit. Oh my goodness, what the heck was I thinking when I chose those curtains? Those are just kind of like, I don't even know. But, yeah, I mean, it was very sparsely furnished, so I was really able to use my own imagination. For this living room, I kind of ran into a problem because I really wanted to use that, movie hangout sofa. I mean, a lot of that sofa, you know, was, it was very colorful, very loud, bright colors, and I'm not a fan of neutral builds at all. I mean, I already live in a house with white walls. I don't need to be having those in The Sims. And I don't know, I just think, like, the neutral houses where the furniture is black and white, they just look boring to me. I just don't like them. No offense if you like those, but, anyway, but the really loud colors were just, you know, not something I wanted in my house, but then I saw that there were some actually cool-looking swatches that were, like, toned down. So I wanted to use that couch and those chairs, but there wasn't like a 2-panel couch that actually went along with it. And I'm like trying to go through the items, trying to find a couch that matches, and eventually I settled on one from Get Together, and I'm like, you know, it's a little bit mixy-matchy, but it works, you know? It's, you know, it all looks like it belongs together, and I'm not really a fan of doing pack-restricted builds just because, you know, even with a ton of options, I already think that I have a limited amount of options. So to limit them even more would just be like torture. And I like being able to go through and find different things from different packs that actually like fit together. So, you know, when they actually changed the icons and made all the expansion packs the same color, everyone was like just like not happy about it because they're like, okay, how am I supposed to be able to tell from looking at it which thing comes from which pack? And I'm like, you actually pay attention to that when you're building? Because I don't. Oh, and now I remember what I was going to say, because, you know, it was funny, because, you know, when I put, Lauren in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, because I just made peeps of everybody just to walk around my park, because it was kind of funny to see them ride all my rides that I built. Like, this was, like, I don't know, like 9-10 years ago now. But, no, actually, I think it was, like, 9 years ago. But, anyway, I'm gonna pause that story for, like, just a second, because I want to talk about this. You know, Hazel is in the pottery, and she wants to start her own business, and this house is really good for that, because now, you know, it has its own pottery studio. And so what I did for this is I just looked around, and whatever pottery vase thing I could find, I just threw in there. I put a bunch of those clay lumps on like a table to like kind of simulate a pottery wheel. Once again, another object that we have in The Sims 2. But she can't really make her pottery hobby like a full-time business until it gets like off the ground, because they don't really have, you know, enough money saved up and stuff like that. But she doesn't have time to actually do that because she has to work and get money. So it's like, you know, and she doesn't really want any financial help with it. But now that she has like her own pottery studio, maybe she can put more effort into it and actually get it to the point where she could start, you know, a pottery business. But anyway, back to what I was talking about before. So I put Lauren and her niece and nephew, nieces and nephew. Oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind. But I put them in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and I kind of came up with the names of them, and I don't even remember. I know the boy was Tyler, and I know I named one of the girls Addison, but I kind of threw that out because, well, my mom is constantly complaining, Joan, there are too many names that begin with A. And I'm like, okay, I gotta change this. Like, I did not plan that at all. I came up with these names, you know. Anyway, but long story short, I changed it, I think, to, like, Madison, and I don't even remember what the toddler's name is. But, anyway, this last room up here, this is, you know, Madison's room, but, this last room that I'm gonna be doing up here is kind of like a little kiddie play area type thing, like, because there was a common area on the 3rd floor, and I just needed, you know, something to put there, so I decided to put, like, a little, child's play area, and maybe just, like, a hobby area. Like, I did put, like, an exercise machine in there and stuff like that. But anyway, you guys, we are fastly coming to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate you leaving a like. And please consider subscribing, and I'm going to be seeing you next time. Bye, everybody!